Now, who are you again exactly?
Clarence Oddbody, A2.
A2? Oh my god. Oh my god, it's finally happening. Is James Cameron's Avatar 2 actually going to come out? Did he fucking send you for me to go watch and review Avatar 2?
That's what I was sent down for. I'm your guardian angel.
Oh, shoot me now. I can't do it. I won't do it.
Now look, you mustn't talk like that. I won't get my wings with that attitude. You just don't know all that you've done. If it hadn't been for you...
No. You don't understand. We started joking about the divine impressions of James Cameron on this podcast I do called You're Tall, But I'm Standing in Front of You. So now I have to, commit myself to actually seeing Avatar 2 in theaters in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh, this isn't going to be so easy.
You're telling me? I mean, I'm the one that's going to have to edit down 4 fucking hours of my co-host going on about how, the Avatar's marketing campaign augurs in a terrifying evolution of the surveillance state, and I just physically can't do it anymore. Frankly, I wish that Devin and I had just never done this fucking podcast to begin with.
What'd you say?
I said I wish Devin and I had just never started You're Tall, But I'm Standing in Front of You.
Oh, you mustn't say things like that. Wait a minute. That's an idea. What do you think? Yeah, that'll do it. All right. You've got your wish.
Oh, hey, Devin. How's it going?
Is that Ethan?
Hey.
Buddy, I haven't seen you for years. Where have you been?
What are you talking about? We see each other all the time. Way too frequently.
No, I haven't seen you. You moved down to Mississippi a while ago, and then I've just been kind of working on myself and my own life and my prospects.
Wait, what have you been working on?
Oh, I've been learning piano. I've been finishing my dissertation extremely quickly and with no hang-ups and
what are all these? You got a huge stack of papers here. What's that all about?
Those are all of my offers for tenure track jobs.
Really?
I'm just trying to decide which one I want to accept, because some they come with the private bathroom. Some it's you don't get the private bathroom, but there's an extra $20,000 a year. So I'm trying to sort through all the details and make a decision. What about you? How have you been?
I've been fine. I think seems like things are really working out well for you. You just settling down here? What is happening?
Oh yeah. I just bought a new house in the area because I've got job offers from at least 5 universities in the Philly area. So I bought this new house. I just had new plumbing put in. I had all the plumbing replaced.
Oh, do you have Scapelli do it?
What?
Scapelli from Super Mario Brothers 1993 film?
I have never seen that movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
Nope.
Oh my god!
Is this some kind of anti-Italian X joke, or?
I mean, sort of.
I am Italian, so that's kind of offensive to me.
Devin, I gotta go.
What? Are you all right? You need some help, or?
I gotta go. Clarence, I want a pot again. Clarence,
wait,
I want a pot again.
Ethan, do you hear that? There's some music playing or something. Do you know where that's coming from?
I want a pot again. Clarence!
You're tall, but I'm standing in front of you.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to You're Tall, But I'm Standing in Front of You, the podcast where two friends circling the drain of academia examine the cultural detritus of the 20th century. I'm Devin.
I'm Ethan.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We've just been
No, Biden can't. You can't.
We've just been alerted.
Yeah.
I just want to say
Christmas. There's not. That's done.
Yeah. Well, it is with the your tall flags are at half mast today in remembrance of President Joe Biden.
As they have been for many years.
Yeah. Remembrance of the Build Back Better plan. We've decided to
that Wiley Joe Manchin, he got us again.
Who could have seen this coming?
He's just so clever.
Yeah. If only we could have chosen a candidate for the Democratic nomination based on the idea that he would be able to work with Congress and get things done, even if other candidates had better ideas that were unrealistic. Ethan, tell the folks why we're here on this special holiday, the American holiday of Christmas.
Yeah, well, we wanted to celebrate American Christmas with a classic American film, It's a Wonderful Life, starring the, of course, underrated Jimmy Stewart.
According to Ben Shapiro.
According to Ben Shapiro. Yeah, now, let's just say hypothetically that Jimmy Stewart was an actor in this film. He'd be very underrated. I think also like 80 other actors.
Yeah, including Lionel Barrymore.
The
great uncle of Drew Barrymore?
Yeah,
you said ancestor. Great
ancestor. Great uncle, the ancestor of the Barrymore line.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know which.
They're American royalty, so you can phrase it like that. Yeah.
And directed, of course, by Italian American.
Take your time.
Italiano American hero, Frank Capra. The Chris Cuomo of his time.
Oh no!
But no, it's the classic Christmas movie. Yeah. Supposedly, I had never seen it before.
Wow.
But like, this is the thing that they always play on TV during Christmas. I was surprised to find out it didn't actually make money at the time.
Oh, really?
Then once it went into the public domain, I guess it's kind of famous for this. Like, once it went into the public domain, stations started playing it around Christmas, and it kind of became a Christmas classic, like, after the fact.
Supply side economics. You tell the people what they want, and they will want it. So, what a triumph of capitalism! It's a Wonderful Life. I saw this actually. I've seen this a few times, but I saw it on the big screen in Memphis, Tennessee. I saw it at the old Orpheum Theater. They so it's like very old timey. They do like an organ interlude in the middle of it.
I miss the days when they used to interrupt movies with organs, because as we've determined on this podcast, movies are bad.
Right.
And they need a little spicing up. All right. So anyway, shall we get into it, Ethan?
Yeah.
All right. You want to take us through the plot?
Sure. You originally gave me the assignment of kind of owning the plot summary, which I was not happy about, because this plot is dense. There's a lot that goes into it, including like 3/4 of this 2-hour, 15-minute film is like leading up to the main element of the film. And so there's a lot of exposition to get through.
Yeah. I was shocked by this because, like, as someone who hadn't seen it before, I've seen it parodied a lot, everyone kind of, even if you haven't seen this film, like the premise, and like, so I'm expecting that, that like fantastical part of the movie that really is just like the last like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe, this is actually just like somebody's life story.
Yeah.
And then this weird little fantasy ending. But the pacing was completely other than what I expected.
Yeah. Like, they saw Citizen Kane. They're like, that's it. Let's just do a film about a guy. But, we got to do a Christmas thing. So they threw in Christmas at the end.
Yeah. Christmas doesn't come in for a long time either. You don't know it's Christmas, right?
And even then, it's like very like ancillary to what is actually going, like things happen during December. So like Christmas is tangentially happening, but it's not very much a Christmas film until the very end, when like suddenly like everyone's like, oh, Merry Christmas, everybody. Like everyone's just really excited and like talking about Christmas, but it's like they forgot until the last day of shooting to think about like the Christmas market. So you sort of get a lot of it at the end.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like everyone always like makes this stupid joke about how like Die Hard is the best Christmas movie. And, you know, like that's kind of a lame joke to make at this point, but the idea is like that's being like, oh, well, like, you know, Die Hard isn't really a Christmas movie because it just happens to take place during Christmas. But like It's a Wonderful Life is presumably the like ultimate Christmas movie. And like also it just kind of happens to culminate on Christmas. I mean, there are thematics about like, which we'll get into, about like, you know, giving, receiving, God. God exists in this fictional universe is pretty interesting. But anyway, let's jump in.
Yeah, so we do start with this kind of like religious-y element to it, where like that you hear a bunch of prayers, and of course have you ever seen the movie Contact?
Yeah.
So you know, like the beginning of the film was like all the radio signals like going across the Milky Way. It's like that, but instead of like aliens receiving them, like angel galaxies receive them. And so all the prayers go up into outer space, and the angel galaxies are like, oh yeah, everyone's talking about George Bailey.
And I just got to say, like, again, as a first-time viewer, like, spoiler alert, like, I know the premise of the movie is this guy is like considering killing himself. And like the fact that the movie starts with like seemingly an entire town praying for the guy, like it kind of gives away like obviously he is a loved guy, actually. Like it's not a secret, right?
Yeah. I mean, like and so the Galaxy Angels conspire to save one George Bailey. They bring forth his guardian angel Clarence by voice only at this point, and Clarence asks, well, is he sick? And he says, no, worse, he's discouraged.
That was actually fun. I laughed at that line.
No, it's a very good. So there's lots of like good little quips throughout this, most of them by the problematic character Annie, but like it's like it's well done in that regard. But they seemingly do this opening to be like, okay, now like here we go with the like 25 years of life summary of the person George Bailey to like make you want to care about this character. So for the next hour and a half, here we go. Like, let's have various vignettes of the life of George Bailey, starting with when he was a kid. I forget, the premise is them being like wanting to catch Clarence up on who George Bailey is, right?
Yeah, it's like, so you understand, like you're being sent to keep this man from killing himself.
Right. And he otherwise wouldn't care. He'd be like, why the fuck do I care about this dude?
You need to understand like what makes him tick.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just be coming in there with like vague pronouncements about like the value of life in general.
Right. Which is good because George Bailey, like there's a you know, lot of reasons why he should live and should have lived, because otherwise what's this all about? So we go back to when George was a kid. They're playing on the ice at the lake. His brother Harry falls in through the ice, and George helps rescue him, which I guess what you get out of that later is that like literally none of the other children would have helped his brother had George not been there. So good thing George was there to organize the rescue. He gets everyone to pull him out, but he does catch a cold and loses hearing in his left ear. So
I feel like that was always happening to people in like first half of the 20th century.
Yeah.
I just want to expand on that.
Okay.
People who are always just like dying because they put on like a damp robe or something, or they fell asleep with a window open.
Right. Well, which happens later on in the film when George's daughter is let home from school by that terrible teacher that lets her not wear her jacket, and she immediately catches a cold and is sick.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, is it influenza? It's like, well, it's the 40s, so I guess just like that. Yeah. So then we go to another scene where now George is working at Gower's drugstore. And that's where all the girls in town go to ogle at him. Like all the various like 12-year-olds that are also in love with him. There's Violet and Mary, I guess, are the two characters.
He's pushing the coconut topping really hard on the ice cream.
He's got some product to move. Mary's playing sort of hard to get, whereas Violet is like, I'm going to marry him one day. I'm going to whisper in his not working ear that I'm going to marry you someday. So
there's like like Madonna and the whore kind of dichotomy happening with these two characters. Like the one is always just basically like throwing herself at him and it's implied as kind of like disreputable. And then Mary is just like kind of like the perfect, the chaste woman.
Yeah. So anyways, they're children and they're getting root beer floats or whatever, ice cream.
Ice cream with coconut, man.
Ice cream with coconut. And Mr. Gower's son had died of influenza. He got like a telegraph about it. So he got drunk and was like sad. And the result of that is like he fucked up a drug order for some kid. He accidentally threw in some giant pills that were marked poison into the kid's Advil prescription, and you realize it.
Just a giant white jug that says poison on it, and it's like facing the camera, and then like young George turns it around.
And so George realizes that something is amiss. So he doesn't do the delivery. Mr. Gower is not happy, but then realizes he fucked up. He's like, oh, thanks, George. Now I won't go to jail for 20 years. So George did another thing. It's literally like George's greatest hits. We jump ahead to George graduating high school. I guess he did literally nothing of value between that scene and graduating high school. Worthless fuck. And now he wants to go travel the world. But his dad is like, well, what if you stayed and did the building and loan business that I created? What if you did the family business? And George doesn't want to because he wants to get out of Bedford Falls. He wants to go see the world.
Yeah, that's like his primary motivation throughout this, right? It's like he's always got these like brochures and posters of different places. He kind of reminds me of Truman from The Truman Show. It's like these characters who are kind of trapped in these idyllic small towns whose only desire is like to explore.
Yeah. Which means like the plot again and again stops him from doing that exploration. We're introduced like a lot of stuff. We're introduced to the character of Annie, who's kind of, she is the help for the Baileys. Her job is to say various side quips throughout the film as needed, and for like to be involved in various problematic scenes.
Yeah, we should say she's an African American woman, and is definitely like kind of like, not the most ludicrously racist depiction I've ever seen, but it's kind of like the vestiges of like, some of like the earlier sort of like minstrel character stereotypes, I think are still like kind of in the film via this character.
Yeah. We're formally introduced to Mr. Potter, who really wants to shut down the building and loan place because he's an evil banker guy. He's the most powerful man in the county. And yeah, I mean, from there during this whole thing, like he's, like I said, George is graduating high school. They go to a high school dance, right? This is still George graduating high school when this happens, right? Maybe it's his brother graduating.
So confused by this scene. Like I like the entire time I was like, okay, it's a high school graduation. No, it's a college graduation. Well, because part of the confusion is they have Jimmy Stewart playing him from age like 18 to age like 40.
Is this where the trope of having 40-year-olds play high schoolers came from? Because like it's very off-putting how like they're all playing high schoolers, but they're very much not.
Yeah, but it's like a very fancy graduation. Like everyone's in tuxedos. I don't know if that's what high school graduations were like in the 40s or well, I guess this was in like the 20s, right? The film comes out in the 40s, but I think it's like class of 1928, but I was like very confused by like who's in college, who's in high school. Like, you know, you're being told this 38-year-old man, Jimmy Stewart, is like 18 or something. I at this point I was just like, okay, somebody's graduating, there's a party.
Yeah.
You know, okay.
Yep. White people dancing, awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, doing the Charleston, all the classic dances.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart at one point does a thing with like the knees and like moving his hands back and forth.
Yeah,
it's like a parody. Yeah, so they do that. The school has decided to build the gym above a pool, and there's a button you press that like makes the floor retract, and the pool that I guess they leave filled with water is below the gym. And so because Jimmy Stewart is dancing with Mary, we've got Sam Wainwright who like really likes Mary, but you know, George is dancing with her, so Sam decides to retract the floor to the pool, and so then they're swimming, blah-de-da, like
everybody jumps in.
Yeah, everyone jumps in, including the principal. And they eventually George and Mary leave and like go. He's like walking her back to
we
her.
Should also say like it is the class of 1928, right? So it's like we are literally at like the last possible moment of the Roaring Twenties. Everyone's just like, jump in the pool. Nothing bad is going to happen. For example, 1 year from now.
But for then everything is gravy, and so they have a good time, and George walks Mary back to her house. This is where you have the scene where it's like, well, what do you want, Mary? You want the moon? I'll give you the moon. And he's like, you know, doing the whole moon bit.
With like the lasso it
it down.
One of the famous lines, right?
Yeah. Yep. Which like it's almost like Mary understands that it's a famous line because she later like stitches that scene.
Yeah, so. Like, oh yeah, you know, I made an etching of your famous quote from the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Credit to the movie for calling its own shot.
Yeah.
At that becoming an iconic line, right? Like,
yeah, it understood marketing. And so they're walking back and they're having this whole line. Like random neighbor dude is like, you should kiss. Like they're about to like kiss, but then various hijinks happen, which includes like her robe coming off, and then like awkward, like Jimmy Stewart be like, well, what do I do in this situation? Like weird sexual harassment for comedic she's
effect.
Like, give me my robe back. He's like, well, I don't know. It's like, okay. So that didn't age well. Speaking of didn't age well, George's father has a stroke. And that scene is interrupted with some folks finding him and announcing like, hey, you got to come home. It's your father. So George is precluded from leaving town because his father has a very plot convenient stroke and passes away. So George decides to stay in Bedford Falls.
He takes over the family business.
We have that scene where like the board is deciding what to do.
He's kind of ushered the company through like this 3-month transitional period after his father's death, and then he wants to leave.
Yep.
Right. But then we get this boardroom scene.
Yeah, Mr. Potter, evil banker guy, wants to vote because he has voting shares. I guess he hasn't been able to control the building alone, but he has like shares, so he's like, I vote to shut it down. Because he wants to be the only game in town because he has he's a slumlord. He wants to just be the only guy who can give out loans. And like right before that, before George leaves the room so the board can vote on this, he gives a whole like rousing speech about like decency and how his dad gave money to the rabble. And so the board agrees to keep the building and loan business open so long as George stays as the executive secretary. So George can't leave town because he's a dumb piece of shit and gave this like great speech that screwed up his plans to get out of Bedford Falls. So that's what you get. He stays on. He gives his brother.
I mean, that's why we try to do a bad job on the podcast each week, so we can
I have tried so hard and mostly succeeded. So he stays. He gives his college money to brother Harry. To his brother Harry.
Brother Harry.
Brother Harry.
You're like Mike Love talking about cousin Brian.
He gives his college money to his brother Harry, and Harry became a football star, made a second team All-American as the
I like
Angels
that they
tell
didn't
us.
make it first team All-American.
It's believable.
But this really tells you a lot about sort of like the political and racial ideology of this movie, right? Because this is like the last time in history where a completely like unassuming, not particularly athletic looking short white guy could be like one of the like 10 greatest football players in the world, because anyone that's actually good at sports has been systemically banned from participating in them.
Yeah. Let the good times roll. What do my notes say now? Oh yeah. We immediately just cut to, like, okay, we did the Harry, we mentioned that he went to college. Now Harry comes back from college. And he's surprise married somebody, and his father-in-law offered him a job in like literally anywhere but Bedford Falls, New York. So George is still fucked.
Research.
Yeah, it's in
at a glass company. So
glass.
It doesn't
research.
pay a lot of money apparently, but she's like, but excellent opportunities. And I'm like, what is this job? What is he researching? Just like is he going to research like the glass they use in Squid Game or something? Like,
see, I was wondering it was almost to me setting it up as like the contrast of it's like him versus Sam Wainwright of like, he's researching glass, whereas Sam is investing in plastics.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is that time in history, right? It's like all about like, the big question is like, it's the post-war, capitalism's booming. We're going to build lots of shit. We're going to make lots of shit, but what are we going to make it out of?
Right.
And did you pick the right thing? Hope you didn't pick steel, motherfucker.
So it's not quite the war, but prior to that, George decides to marry Mary. You following me? Mary.
Yeah. So wait, he's marrying, but who's he marrying?
Mary.
I know your speech impediment's coming out. I don't want to embarrass you in the pod, but like, who does he marry?
Not Violet. He marries.
He doesn't marry Violet. Okay,
he doesn't marry Violet.
So he marries Mary. I understand.
Great.
You just said that.
And they have a bunch of kids because like Mary came back because she's a failed child that like just went to college and was like, I missed home. I'm gonna die in Bedford Falls. So she's there.
This movie is just full of people who just have a huge heart-on for dying in the place they live. That's basically what this movie is. It's like,
that's America.
What if
baby?
you never did anything?
Yeah. So they get married. On their way to their honeymoon, there's a run on the bank. Is this supposed to be like 1929? Like 19? Is this supposed to be like the?
It can't be because like.
That's because it's 4
like
years
he graduates
after
high school in 1928,
yeah.
I believe. So like the Great Depression isn't specifically alluded to. I think maybe that's some of the subtext of what's going on with like the struggles of the company that lead him to staying on. So I think the implication is like he's ushered the company through the Great Depression, maybe, but bank runs are just still something that's happening. Like, I guess maybe we're just still in the Great Depression right now.
Sure.
Because like World War II hasn't started yet or anything. And like,
right.
But like when it happens, like people know what a bank run is. It's like, oh, that's like when that's a thing that happens.
Yeah. They're like, oh shit, the bank run is happening. So let's all go to the building and loan and take out our money. So everyone goes to the building and loan because the other bank in town, there's a run on the bank. So they're like, oh, we got to get our money out of here. And the problem is that, they obviously don't have the money to give them because they loan out the money for people to buy houses that they shouldn't be able to afford.
Yeah. And there's this great like mini speech where like Jimmy Stewart is like explaining the concept of equity in houses and stuff. He's like, you see, the money is like in the buildings and like we are collectively producing value that has not actually been actualized, but like will be actualized at some point in the future.
So he's like,
you're thinking of this place all wrong, as if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here. Well, your money's in Joe's house. That's right next to yours. And in the Kennedy house, and Mrs. Maitland's house, and 100 others. You're lending them the money to build, and then they're going to pay it back to you as best they can. Now, what are you going to do, foreclose on them?
Yes. The answer is everyone's
that's
like,
what they're gonna do.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
So everyone decides they're going to foreclose on one another. But then George convinces them, or rather Mary has the idea of using the honeymoon money to pay everybody just what they need to get by so that the building and loan place can stay open. Mr. Potter had this plan to like buy everyone out at 50 cents on the dollar, like make an easy buck, but it doesn't work because everyone stays, and they did it. And so definitely a long-term solution. So that happens. They make it through. We keep advancing through the timeline. Because again, Clarence just needs a overview of this guy's life. George makes Bailey Park kind of self-egregious, but what are you going to do? It apparently has like good homes. They even open it up to Italians.
Yeah. My man Martini.
Giuseppe Martini.
Martini is my favorite character. He owns a bar called Martini's. His name is Martini, and he's just like he's just like walking around like being Italian. Like I love it.
Yeah, he is very Italian. So they sell a home even to him. And Mr. Potter doesn't like that George is messing up his whole slum operation. So he's like, I'm going to pay you $20,000 a year to work for me. Because he wants to buy him out of the way so that's not a problem. But George doesn't agree to it because George is a man of principles, which will not serve him well. It will drive him to suicide. And so the plot relentlessly continues. George and Mary have a bunch of children. World War II happens. Everyone does their like patriotic thing, which of course you can't send a man to war if his ear is fucked up. So George stays home.
Yeah, because then how are you going to deafen him if he's already deaf, right? Like how are you going to give him like crippling, long-term medical problems?
Yeah, there's no fun in that. Yeah. So he stays home and like leads the war effort from home. But his brother Harry does get the Congressional Medal of Honor for stopping a kamikaze from blowing up a transport ship.
Yeah.
Or so they say. So
I can't wait for Loose Chains too. About the kamikaze plane that George Bailey's brother shot down.
It was a 747 filled with like 300 Japanese civilians.
Various VIPs. Yeah. Ask yourself, who was on the flight manifest?
The U.S. military didn't do that till much later, so that's not fair to them. So
yeah, up until this point, America had only ever done good things.
Right.
Which is crazy.
I know. So everyone does a good war, and they come home.
Hey, it's the good war that we can now justify every other war, present and past and future, by allegorization to this one that was kind of good because the enemy was the worst guy ever.
Oh, don't you love when it's just unambiguous like that? So the good guys all come home from war, and immediately after that, Uncle Billy fucks things up.
Yeah.
He like has $8,000 from the,
which I looked up. That's over $100,000 in current money.
so we can all relate to going to the bank with $100,000 in cash to deposit and then losing it because we're like just sloppy.
Yeah. Well, he's like clowning on Potter.
Yeah.
And then he accidentally like gives him the money basically, like because he like takes his newspaper, but then he like puts the money in his newspaper. And we should, because we haven't talked about Uncle Billy much, but he's been established at this point in the film to be like a drunk and like kind of like, you know, not all together, not the sharpest
the sort
knife
of guy
in the drawer.
that has a pet crow, like that sort of guy.
Mhm.
Like that's his thing, and everyone's just like accepted it. He fucks up and like loses the $8,000, and it's just as the bank inspector is coming in, and also importantly, it's almost Christmas time. So Zoom is trying so hard to cancel out your horn noise. It's like, that's not a human voice. That's not how humans sound. So George gets increasingly despondent. He like yells at his wife and his kids.
It's very sudden too. Like he starts like the performance is, I mean, this is like a melodramatic film. So it's like very, because like he's been the most aw shucks man of all time up to this point. And then he just becomes a huge dick immediately. Which I actually like. I actually like that about the film, because I like that it is kind of saying in that like no matter how aw shucks you are, when like the actual material realities of capitalism like come for you, like it's over. Like he seemingly has finally gotten to the point where he can't gee whiz himself out of the inevitable progress of capitalism.
And as most people do under the structure of capitalism, he immediately goes to Mr. Potter, the banker, and is like, I'm going to sell out everything and everyone if you could just give me a loan, give me $8,000, and then I literally don't care. I just don't want to go to jail. Mr. Potter's like, well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm also going to have you arrested because I know all the police and the congressmen and they work for me because I'm the banker guy. So Mr. Potter actually turns George down, but Mr. Potter does help George come to the astute realization that he is actually worth more dead than alive because of his life insurance policy.
You're worth more dead than alive.
Oh, baby.
So now, like, we get sort of where the film had began with a suicidal George. He crashes his car into one of the oldest trees in town. Can you believe it? There was literally no trees in that town before that guy's grandfather planted them.
Can I just make, like, not to be all like plot holes in It's a Wonderful Life, right? But with this guy, this drove me crazy. So like, and this is jumping ahead a little bit. But this guy that he says in this moment, like, my great grandfather planted this tree. It's the oldest tree in town, right? And the town is called Bedford Falls. When we go, jumping ahead a little and then we'll go back, but when we go into the alternate reality where the name has changed to Pottersville, right? Because Potter has taken the town completely over, right? He runs into this same man, and talks about the tree, and he's like, talks about being in Bedford Falls, and that man is like flabbergasted. He's like, what are you talking, Bedford? What the hell? We're in Pottersville. And it's like, this man is like, it was called, even in the alternate reality, the town was called Bedford Falls before Potter took it over and changed the name. Like, so like, this man of all men, like, why is he act like he should just be like, oh, you haven't been here for a while. Like, it's called Pottersville now. But as the historian of the town who knows where all the oldest trees are, I'm familiar with the fact that it used to be called Bedford Falls.
This is where you're wrong, because he's not interested so much in the history as the progression of history. So what makes the tree interesting? It's not that his dumb fuck grandfather planted the tree. It's that it has persisted over time. What matters now is that the town is called Pottersville. And so this asshole comes in here. and starts calling it Bedford Falls, that's, negating progression. And that's why he was so angry. You should have understood.
We're on to that Hegelian shit now. Is he the same guy that tells them to kiss?
I don't know, but
because
let's
they
just
look
say
similar,
yes.
But say yes, because that would completely make sense with this reading of him, because he's telling them to kiss because he's like the procreation guy. He's like, new generation, let's go. He's the accelerationist of Pottersville. Like fucking like bring on the like collapse of society. I'm gonna be here with my tree. Like the Yortall gives our official endorsement to the accelerationist philosophy of Tree Guy from It's a Wonderful Life.
I mean, can't get much better than that, but the plot does progress to the point where this is like where the film was sort of starting. You have the suicidal George. He wants to jump off a bridge and commit suicide for that life insurance policy. This is literally an hour and 39 minutes into the film. So if any of you are like, wow, y'all have been taking a long time going through this plot, we have covered almost the entire film at this point. So it's not that we were nitpicking little details. Like, the film is mostly various vignettes of George's life and why like he's a good guy, and that's why he shouldn't commit suicide, not for like other reasons. So yeah, we've established that George is a good guy who has done good deeds, and so now we get to the point where he's going to commit suicide and shouldn't. So thank goodness we have Clarence the Angel, who shows up, preemptively attempts to commit suicide before George by jumping off the bridge. And so George jumps off instinctively to save Clarence.
He just can't stop doing good.
He can't stop. So he saves George. I don't know. It's like a bridge. Who is this guy? Like a bridge operator? Is it a drawbridge? I'm not sure.
I don't know. He's like a bridge guy or a ferryman or something. Is just in the room for a while.
Yeah.
And he eventually fucks off when he's like,
right,
well, there's some like biblical shit happening here. I got to get out of here.
I mean, we don't see it on screen, but he gets the note that like his job has been like made redundant and no longer exists in post-war America. So that was actually him just like fucking off to having no actual future. So
we automated the bridge, buddy. Sorry. Hey, good news. There's no social safety net. Well, actually, there is a little bit. There's a little bit of one now. There's a little bit. We're in 1946. There's a little bit.
You did invest in plastics, right? So Clarence explains that he's an angel. George doesn't believe him. Clarence is like, well, I'm an angel second class. So good to know that there's a hierarchy up in heaven.
Heaven is like depicted in this as like a like mid-century US like bureaucracy, like kind of corporation thing.
Sounds like heaven to me.
Paradise by the fluorescent light.
So anyways, George is sort of incredulous, one, that he doesn't think this person is an angel, but second, that this is his guardian angel. So George wishes that he hadn't been born.
I suppose it'd been better if I'd never been born at all.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
And Clarence is like, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll let me show you what happens. Would have been really awkward if like George hadn't lived a great life and things were like better. But they're not, because he had done good things. And again, that's why he shouldn't commit suicide, is because he had done great deeds. And so they take him through like, here's how life would have been had you not been born.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, to start off, Martinis is now Nick's.
There's no more delightful Italian man.
Yeah.
With like meatballs in his pocket.
Yeah. I think the biggest theme is that jazz has taken over Bedford Falls. Or should I call it Potterville?
It's so true. And it's like, I want to talk about this later, but it's very racialized.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the first shot really we get of this like new bar is of a black man playing the piano.
Yeah.
And he's playing kind of like a ragtime kind of thing or something. I don't, if you know the jazz microgenres, don't yell at me. But it's like, it's like some kind of like, like kind of like, raunchy jazz music on the piano. Yeah. And what the film is trying to tell you is like, this is like morally degraded or something.
Yeah.
But it's like very, it's like now like blackness is no longer confined to like the maid with like one-liners.
Martini would have never allowed this.
Yeah. And then he tries to, Martini, you just had a man with an accordion and a monkey, and he was respectful. But, when like, it's like, seems like a fine bar. Like,
yeah.
Geez, like
having a fine time. Yeah.
But, like shit gets weird when they come in there and start talking about religion, as it often does. But he runs out of this, like the Nick space has become weirdly like, because like Martini's is racialized in like the Italian American sense of like, like ethnic white, like not quite integrated, but like Nick's is like not that Nick is black, but that is a space where like blackness is permitted in a way it's not permitted in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But then so they run out and he like runs out into the town, right? And as you've said, like it's like the jazz continues, like the score becomes like this like intense jazz, and there's like marquees everywhere, and there's like strip clubs and stuff. And the idea is like this is a bad thing that people are listening to black music now instead of the kind of austere classical score.
Yeah, Violet is getting arrested. You have George taking a taxi. With the funny thing,
it's either
is
Bert
like,
or Ernie.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is they're named Bert and Ernie.
The cop and the taxi guy.
Yeah, classic.
And they somehow have this weird friendship, like they're like a team. Like the taxi guy picks people up and then like signals to the cop to arrest them.
Like, hey, this guy looks off. How about you follow me? Yeah, so they do that, and George is like not into getting arrested, I guess. So he runs, to which Bert, who has just been accosted by George, just starts shooting indiscriminately into like the crowded street.
Yeah, and he's not even aiming. He's just like firing wildly.
There are many people out and about enjoying the jazz, and he is just.
And the guy like hasn't committed any serious crimes at this point. He's mostly
he like
just
shoved him.
Confused and a little weird, and like he's just like there's lots of I mean that is another point of the film is actually being very realistic.
I know, like it really took me out of the fantasy that moment. It was like, oh well, there we go. So the big thing is though, besides the jazz, George finds out that like all these other things are changed. Like Harry wasn't there to save the transport because Harry died. Because George didn't save him from the water, because none of the other people there were willing to save.
Yeah, Harry. And also like it's like the fucking like this film has no understanding of like the like you compare this to a film like what is that guy's name? The Ashton Kutcher film, The Butterfly Effect, right? But it's like this film, it's like George didn't exist, but everything happened exactly the same as it did, except for George was so like they're still playing that exact same day. The ice still breaks exactly that same way, right? Like it's a very like limited understanding of what changes. Like reality is very stable and you just subtract George out of it.
Right. Well, it's almost like it's very like Calvinist almost, it's like a predestination sort of deal is I think the theme.
It's very like pre-chaos theory.
Yes.
Like
but the general idea is that things are worse off, including the worst news of all. Mary is an old maid.
She's a librarian. I lost my shit at this because the film, this is literally, it's not, you're joking when saying it's worse off, but the film presents it as if it is because it's the last revelation. It's like people are dead. Like that kamikaze pilot killed all these brave men on the destroyer. Jazz is playing everywhere you go. But like, my God, Mary is a librarian. She's wearing glasses now. I actually thought she looks much better, but that's just me.
Fine. Yeah.
But it's like apparently like, what happens in this town is because we've had no indication Mary is interested in being a librarian up to this point. But apparently just what happens is like no one marries you and you just become a librarian, which doesn't even make sense because again, like Sam was interested in her and like she seemed interested in Sam enough, except she likes George more. So like, I don't know why in the world where George doesn't exist, she wouldn't have like found someone else. But again, it's like this Calvinist thing. It's like he is like they're destined to be together. So there's no other possibilities for her except for being can you imagine a worse fate for a woman than being a librarian?
It's hard. It's hard to think of one.
Shushing people all day. The Dewey Decimal System.
My God.
She's wearing like a matronly hat and coat that doesn't show off her vivacious curves. What a tragedy.
It is a real tragedy, and that's really what puts George over the edge. Except I guess like the opposite of that, because it puts him not over the edge of realizing.
No, my brother's dead. That's not so good. She's a librarian.
A librarian with the books? That doesn't make any sense.
That's charging me late fees.
So he decides that's what puts him over not the edge, because he doesn't want to go over the edge of the bridge anymore. But he's like, I want to live again. I want to live again. Please, God, let me live again.
I want to live again. I want to live again. I want to live again. Please, God, let me live again.
He wants to go back across the edge.
Yes. And Bert shows up, but suddenly Bert knows who he is.
Hey, George!
And so that's how he knows he's back, because Bert knows his name. And so he's like, I'm back. So everything's fine now. He's like, I got to get home. So he runs back home. He sees that he has crashed the car. Great. Fuck that tree. He goes back home. And I want to know your take on this, because he walks into his house where he is met by the detective and the bank inspector and like two other guys.
Some of the press are there.
Yeah, the press.
Because they're like taking photos with those old cameras that light up really much. And
so just to be clear, these four men let themselves into his house while his wife was out and just their children were upstairs and were just waiting in the like welcoming room for him to return. Is that the premise?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know how realistic that is in the sense of like, did this shit actually happen? But this does remind me of other like 1940s fiction, like a much more serious and good work, but Native Son by Richard Wright, right? Like after Mary Dalton has been murdered, like the press are just like in the house.
Wow.
It's like a very different than like we think of like, contemporary films where like the press are always like gathered outside and like not allowed in the house. But it's very important because the main character of Native Son, Bigger Thomas, like sees a photograph being taken like in the house and then like runs, and then he sees the photograph in the newspaper later. And it's this big moment where he realizes like how the press and like the cops are all working together essentially. But like I got like, obviously the tone of It's a Wonderful Life is very different, but it seems like it's like a similar vision of sort of like, just like these people are all like in the room, like, but I don't know if that has like, I don't know if that happens in the 40s because that's what people did, or if that's like just the fictional conventions of the 40s were like devoted to like, okay, we have to have these different like segments of society represented in the room so we can like, and they were maybe less concerned with the idea of like realism or like what would really happen than like having these representative figures. But I don't know. If someone knows, let us know.
Yeah. Great. But the thing that happens then is Mary comes home and it's like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle, George. And what happens is everybody in town heard that George was in trouble and we're like, well, we'll give him money. And so they have all of the money to like it's just the bank inspector to be like, it's okay, we have the money, so don't worry about it. So like everybody from town that he had helped throughout the film shows up and puts more money in.
You know how it is when you steal something and then like the cops show up and then you're like, oh, but here it is, you can have it back. And they're like, no worries.
Yeah, everything's cool. Annie shows up to say, I've been saving this money for a divorce in case I ever get a husband. She had to get one more line for Annie in there.
Yeah.
So,
and all of her lines are about like how shocking it would be if she had a husband.
Yeah, it's not great. So even the bank inspector pitches in at the end, and the detective rips up the warrant because that's how the law works.
I was watching it and I was like, okay, but that cop is about to be like arrested for like, destroying like a warrant. Like I don't think like the cop serving the warrant has the prerogative to be like, well, forget about this one.
So everyone pitches in, and then Harry shows up because he's coming in for the big parade because he got the Congressional Medal of Honor, and he says, he's alive. So Harry comes in, he says,
to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
And what he means by that is that he physically has all this money in a basket now, so he is technically the richest man in town. I think that's the message.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any subtext. Like he has like a big pile of like $8,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, like it is a good amount.
Yeah.
And then he gets a note from Clarence that says, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Thanks for the wings. Love, Clarence. And I think there's a copy of like the Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, which he earlier in the during the like when the galaxies are talking, he's like references that he's reading Tom Sawyer.
Yeah,
which
and
I guess that's supposed to be the idea is that like he was alive, I guess, right? Like.
I thought it was that like, Mark Twain is alive in heaven because he mentions at one point
he's writing a book.
He's like, you should see what he's writing now. It's okay.
Yeah, but like there's jokes also when he's in the bar where he's trying to order like mulled wine and stuff. There's like these jokes that he has like these tastes that are like not contemporary, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the film. He's the richest man in town.
And we never see Potter again, which is interesting to me. Because this is like, he kind of one-ups Potter, but like Potter doesn't show up to be owned or anything. It's just like big party. Everyone sings like whatever it's called, Auld Lang Syne or whatever.
Yeah, Auld Lang Syne.
Auld Lang Syne.
I do not know the name of like that. That's like the New Year's song.
Do I look like a New Year's guy to you?
There's 3 New Year's songs. There's Auld Lang Syne. There's Imagine, but where CeeLo Green replaces Imagine No Religion with like Imagine All Religion's Groovy. And then there's New York, New York by Frank Sinatra. Sorry, I only watched the Times Square New Year's Eve, Rockin' New Year's Eve. So that's
in general, that's the only thing you watch, which like I don't know if the viewers realize this, but you haven't watched any of the movies that we talk about.
No, I gained all my info from that. But again, this film really is like
you have to watch you have to watch so many years of the Rockin' New Year's Eve to pick up enough trivia about Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. Because obviously there's the year it comes out. There's going to be a few jokes about The Master.
Right.
But you're not going to get the full plot summary. You need to be watching every year that it's the 2019 Rockin' New Year's Eve. And Ryan Seacrest like comes in and is like, this reminds me of the scene where they get sent to prison and Lancaster Dodd tells him no one likes him except for him.
Well, it's a well-known fact that Dick Clark was so moved by The Master that he died.
There's the mayor. Former Mayor Giuliani just told me downstairs a few minutes ago that he is looking forward to his new career. And of course, is the new mayor. Mayor Bloomberg will be sworn in just a moment here when the quiet subsides. Actually, he's being sworn in 3 different times. And he sort of has his work cut out for him. Former Mayor Giuliani has been christened the Man of the Year by Time magazine. Mayor Bloomberg will have to fill his shoes. He's certainly a man of great intelligence and fortitude. As they say, you don't get any leeway. And that's damn fact. New York is a tough town. But tonight, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of New Year's Rockin' Eve. It's a grand tradition here, and thank you for letting us be a part of your celebration. There's a lot more parties still to go. Don't you dare go away. We're going to be right back here on ABC.
Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve 2002 is being brought to you by Prescription Vioxx. Ask your doctor about Vioxx.
So I guess one of the big questions we have to ask about this movie, because like it's doing some kind of critique of capitalism, right? Like its villain is the banker. He's kind of this Scrooge character. And apparently like part of why they cast him is like he was known for like having played like Scrooge in like the radio play versions of Christmas Carol that were popular at the time. And this movie does kind of have it's borrowing some stuff from A Christmas Carol, right? It's kind of remixing them differently, but but it clearly is trying to say something about, I don't know about if capitalism in general, about at least certain elements of capitalism, but like, right. I don't know if I'm comfortable saying this is like a socialist film or anything either. So I'm wondering like where you land on this question.
Yeah, I feel like having watched it years ago, I felt much more sympathetic to the idea that like, oh, it's more socialistic in nature, just in the general themes of what it's saying around like communal support and things like that. But I feel like you have to ground it in the fact that this was a film that is based on a book that came out in the early 40s. This film came out in 1946. So I think there is still optimism about American capitalism that exists, especially in like the mid 40s, coming out of the Great Depression, of like, well, if we can really band together and like do XYZ, we can make this work. Things are going to work out just fine. So it's not really, to me, a critique of capitalism so much as it's like someone who, this film to me is like the film version of someone who critiques capitalism, but then it's like, well, that's crony capitalism. I just don't like crony capitalism. Yeah. So that seems to be like what the film is doing and trying to make some false distinction between the two.
Yeah, this is where I think I land with it too, because it's like the big critique is that like Potter is a bad person, right? And like he's screwing everything up. And like if we had people like George in charge who believe in people and understand, and but also like very racialized, right? Like we don't see George giving any houses to any of the Black residents of the town who are only existing in like kind of subservient service labor positions, or
they would just bring jazz.
Yeah. We do see him formally, like we get this, like the scene, we talked about it, we referenced it a little bit, but like the scene where he sells the house to Martini is actually like, it's filmed very immensely. Like a lot of screen time is given to that. And there's this whole ceremony where they give them like bread, salt, and wine as these like symbols of prosperity, right? Yeah. And like that is the scene of like kind of like incorporating the Italian immigrant into like white American capitalism, right? And like and of course, like this is directed by Frank Capra, who was a Italian immigrant, like, and this sounds like, we've made some joking references to like Ben Shapiro's take on this movie, which is that like George is actually like the villain because like he's creating the conditions of the subprime mortgage crisis.
What do you think about that, Ben Shapiro?
It is the ultimate Christmas movie. It's about forgiveness. It is about community. It's about the unseen contributions that we all make to the lives of the people around us. Now, also, Lionel Barrymore is correct. So on a financial level, the villain of this piece is actually the hero, because if Jimmy Stewart actually gets his way, all of Bedford Falls collapses in the subprime mortgage crisis. Basically, Jimmy Stewart keeps giving out loans without proper checking into the credit history of the people he's giving loans to based on his sort of assessment of their own personal viability financially. Lionel Barrymore is much more by the numbers. Lionel Barrymore is a better banker, and that local bank probably goes under. So the movie was supposed to be sort of a quasi-socialistic FDR parable, but the reality is that the real estate policies followed by Jimmy Stewart bankrupt Bedford Falls, and everybody ends up homeless.
But so like, here's the thing, like I don't agree with Ben Shapiro, But he's not wrong in a certain sense in that, like, from the perspective of capitalism, Potter is not doing anything evil. He's doing what capitalism tells him he's supposed to do.
Right.
And so, like, the idea is that, like, we're supposed to have this system that compels people to do certain things, but then we're supposed to have these, like, ethical, magical individuals like George Bailey who, like, resist those compulsions and find, like, the happy medium. And in that, it's like, basically, it's like it's advocating for some kind of, like, controlled capitalism based in regulation. It's like an FDR thing, right? And it's like,
Sure.
I mean, honestly, like, I am very cognizant of the limitations of that. You know, seeing like what's going on with like the Joe Biden administration right now, it's hard not to be like, well, by comparison, that is a radical vision. But also that was a radical vision that was available at that moment in the history of capitalism, right? And like,
Sure.
You can't, it's not a matter of ideas. It's not just like, oh, if everyone believed we could do it again, we could do it.
Yeah, but there's also this underwriting thing that I don't think is intentional from the film, which is the idea that if George Bailey wasn't there, everything would collapse at a much faster rate than it had. And like the opportunities wouldn't exist. And so the idea is that the only way through which these opportunities to descend the ladder of like this capitalistic system is through just the pure happenstance of this altruistic individual who decides to put aside the profit motive in order to help create this future, in spite of the fact that it's clearly difficult, it's prone to failure, and perhaps without divine intervention is doomed to failure.
Yes.
So I don't think that's like what the film was trying to say, but it is what it is saying.
Yeah, no, I do think like, there's almost like against itself, there's almost a radical critique in this film, right? Because it shows the degree of like unrealistic intervention that is required to make this system work.
Yeah.
And like George Bailey has to be, he's like Christ practically. Like he's like this perfect individual who has only done good things. And what does it say that like this system leads to like absolute like horror and squalor unless you have someone like this in charge?
So there are some, I think, you know, we can look at it through a lens of like 2021 looking back at this 1946 film, and I think pick apart some of the themes in a way that perhaps were not apparent to the audiences that made it such a staple of Christmas films throughout the last half century. But I have no problem with doing that.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, right, like there's this big triumphant moment at the end where the town pulls together and gives all their money and saves the company, right? And that feels really good. But here's the thing the film doesn't ask, like, what if it happens again?
Yeah.
Like everyone has emptied their coffers, right? So like this is at best a delay.
Right.
Right. This is not a victory. This is like $8,000 has been lost, is in the hands of Mr. Potter. We've now emptied everyone's savings of another $8,000 to, you know, so the company won't fold again. And the company's always on the brink of collapse, right?
Absolutely.
And like, if we are reliant on individualistic critiques of the Potters of the world as being bad people, you know, we're basically like, if our sell for communism and socialism has to be rooted in convincing a lot of people to act against their own self-interest, I don't know like where that goes. Because George is the ultimate person who's always acting against his own self-interest, right? Like he wants to go and he always decides to stay because it's the right thing for everyone else.
Right.
And like the problem is convincing people maybe to, I mean, not convincing people, but I don't know. The problem is like, how do you create the realization of that it actually is in everyone's best interest to do something else?
Right. Which is maybe, again, the limits of what you can do in a film in 1946 in the United States of America, which is at least put the idea in people's heads like, hey, the good guy is the guy that is altruistic in spite of the fact that he could be doing much better in this system if he was not that way. So maybe again, that's like the most you can do in that context to make it palpable. But Yeah, I'll take it. For
and that's the thing too, because like there's a version of critiquing this film that actually goes in the reactionary direction, because it says like, oh, he's a patsy. And then you end up with like a film like American Psycho, or like, the kind of films of the 80s about the individualistic Reaganite financiers, right? Or Wall Street, right? Greed is good. Like, where the idea is like, oh, it's dumb and hokey, as this film kind of is. It's a dumb and hokey film, right? It's a cheesy film, but it's also kind of a heartfelt film. But, it's dumb and hokey to look out for everybody else. So I need to look out for number one, right? That's the smart thing to do. That's the realistic thing to do. Like Mark Fisher talks about this in the Capitalist Realism book, right? Like the gritty realism of the financial guy, that like he actually knows how bad capitalism is, and that's why he has to look out for himself. Not that it has to be a him, but the cultural figure of the financier usually is. But so I'm curious, like, did you find it like affecting at all? Or like, did you just find it kind of like cheesy and like, Capricorn, I think is the term some people use for this aesthetic that Frank Capra has?
No, I mean, like there's heart to the film, it's like, I get why this is a classic, because like what better way to escape from the materialistic hellhole that is like the American Christmas tradition than to like watch this film and like have a brief reprieve from that that overwhelming feeling of just consumerism. So like I and there were some lines that I think really stood out to me, that I was like, yeah, this is like good on you. Like I felt good when George was standing up there and he's talking about he's talking down Mr. Potter and saying, well, just remember, Mr. Potter, this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying
and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. Well, in my book, he died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
I like that line. That sort of stuff was nice, of like just the little asides, just to like lay it out on the Mr. Potter character.
I mean, it feels good. Like, I think it would be, I think you would, I mean, it's a feel good movie. Like, I think you would have to be, if you can let yourself like just kind of get into the film, like it legitimately, like it feels good to be like, oh yeah, like people can band together. Like there's a utopian glimmer in this film, but like then it's very hard to imagine it as more than a glimmer, I guess. But like I did find it like authentically touching at times, as someone who hadn't seen it before.
Right. But again, I didn't find it touching. I feel like people will watch this film and be like, look at how things used to be. This sense of community we had, like
that's a great point.
Real like coherence as a community that is now fallen apart. That to me is a terrible reading of the film, because it is very much a fantasy, which I know is something that really you mentioned as sticking out to you from this film, the idea of like reality versus fantasy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I think that's such a good point you made. Like, if you're watching this film nostalgic for like the idea that what it's depicting in the first hour and a half was real, maybe that's what the film intends, right? But that's like the wrong way to read it, right?
Spoiler alert, Bedford Falls, New York is not a real place.
Yeah.
Just like, so we're clear.
Yeah. The real fantasy, right, is the first part of the film. It is a world in which this one man can, by his like guile and his aw shucksness and his good-heartedness, like keep the forces of capital at bay, in which like everyone is sort of happy, in which everyone's living hard lives, but like with dignity and love and like, and sort of in this idyllic state, right? And then the idea is that is something that is lost in this alternate universe, right? Yeah. And the alternate universe is the real world, right? It's the world in which capital cannot be defeated by individuals, right? And then the way the film, and this is like maybe its most radical gesture, is the way the film resolves this tension between reality and fantasy is with the power of the collective. Like when the actual town comes together, they are able to kind of fuse the reality and the fantasy into one, right? And like the way to read this film to me is not like, I think if we want to read this film in a way that is like inspiring, rather, like it's totally fine to read this film as like ideological hogwash, but if we want to have a positive reading of it, it can't be that like, oh, this film tells us about a collectivity that existed during the New Deal that has been lost, but it tells us that the actual only way to resolve our contradictions within existing capitalism is to produce a collectivity that does not yet exist.
Also God.
And God helps, right? but like, you know, substitute God for communism, right? Like,
granted, there are still some clear hierarchies that exist in heaven with these different classes of angels. But
all right, so it's Stalinism. That's fine.
he generally seems on board with the concept of helping the George Baileys of the world.
Yeah. But I think, that is like, if I'm going to take like, I think that's maybe why I find the film like touching is like, not that I'm like, oh yeah, in the 40s, things were great. And people cared about each other. But I'm like, if we could create that sort of collectivity,
right,
and not just in terms of pooling our money together, but, you know, more in terms of pooling our labor power together and like refusing to offer that labor power to capital, like that potentiality exists. That always exists in like a physical sense, no matter how bleak things are, that there's technically the physical possibility that could happen.
Right. And I think maybe one of the failures of the film is that it can only conceptualize escape from the system as like accumulation of capital, you know, like it's, well, what if instead of what was going to happen, Martini was able to afford a home because he got a good deal on a mortgage? What if this had, like, and it all comes back to just like the accumulation of capital, but in parallel to this more abjectly exploitative system. That's how like it imagines the ideal, you know. So
For
I
sure.
think there's definitely some limitations there, but
it goes back to that speech you quoted where he's like explaining how the savings and loan works, right? But that's a capitalist enterprise. It's a collective one, but it's based on like, you know, capital accruing over time.
And it seems like there's a theme throughout this. It was like, well, what it's not, I'm not giving your money. It's a loan. Like he makes that point so many times. He's like, no, it's not charity. This is a loan. You need to pay me back.
Yeah. It's a relationship, that it's a bond.
It's dignity to you that it's a loan, that it's not charity, because like that there's like a reciprocal nature there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and like, as you kind of alluded to, right, in the end, it's money is the medium through which the collectivity is able to materialize itself, literally in this pile of money, right? Money allows all these people from different walks of life who have different kinds of labor to offer to form this collective force. And so, like, as much as there's a radical potentiality in that idea of collectivity, the fact that it can only imagine itself through the money form is a limitation.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's like, I'm not saying this is easy to do or that It's a Wonderful Life should have done this, right? But like our goal needs to be to get beyond the money form, right? And beyond the value form and beyond the idea of like needing to make things to make profit, right? If we're actually making things to meet human need, it turns out we actually have to make a lot less stuff. We don't need to make Furbies, at least not as many of them.
Ooh.
Speaking of just like Christmas gifts.
Speaking of Furbies, this episode is brought to you by Furbies. Furbies, buy a Furby.
Why not?
That's what they had in the script. That's what it said.
Literally has to.
It's Furby. Buy one. You've had one before. What about another? Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've had a good chat. We're ready to lay down some Shia LaBeoufs for It's a Wonderful Life. Devin, where would this land for you?
So I was gonna give this film 8,000 Shia LaBeoufs and I lost them. So I don't know, like 3. That's what I've got left. What about you?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna say out of 131 Shia LaBeoufs, which is the length of this film, I will give it the amount of time that Clarence was actually involved in the film, which is about 29 minutes out of that 131 minutes. So 29 out of 131. Devin, run the numbers. What is 29 over 131?
All right, we're opening up the calculator. 29, 131. We are at 22.1374%.
Yeah, sounds about right. Let's say 20%. Gonna round down. Yeah. So that's what I would give it. Right. There's also an important matter that we forgot.
Yeah.
We had an episode on The Master, which is one of your favorite films, right? Like I
think it is my favorite film. Yeah.
And yet you didn't give that any Shia LaBeoufs. So what does that say about you?
I thought, in the moment, I made a lot of mistakes. We had a guest. We weren't in our usual rhythm. I am ashamed. This is not the first time we've forgotten to give out Shia LaBeoufs. I just need to do better. I need to do better on this podcast. The new year is coming. I'm not going to forget to give Shia LaBeoufs in the new year. But I thought long and hard about.
Now we're getting to the bread and butter.
How many Shia LaBeoufs I would give The Master, because I've had some time to think about this.
Okay.
And I give The Master one great big Shia LaBeouf made out of sand.
Ooh.
That I curl up against, and through which I resolve the contradictions of my own identity and sexuality. What about you?
Yeah, so honestly, tell me if this is inappropriate, but I was going to give it 4.5 Joaquin Phoenixes. So,
which is interesting because there's exactly one Joaquin Phoenix in the film.
Yeah. So think on that as you will, but it feels like there's a clear conversion rate between Joaquin Phoenix and Shia LaBeouf.
We don't even need to. Everybody knows that. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah, I don't want to belittle our audience, but you understand.
Everybody knows the conversion.
What the rate is. So 4.5 Joaquin Phoenixes, more than I gave Gladiator. So here we are.
All right. Well, we have just one more problem, which we're coming out the end of the year, the end of the month, which means I do need to pay Buzzsprout for our hosting fees.
Right.
And I was at the Buzzsprout studios.
Buzzsprout is who we use to release our podcast, right? I don't know. I'm just the ideas man. I don't do these things. Okay.
I went to the headquarters.
Yeah.
And I had the $18 in an envelope. And
all in one place.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then I saw just a random old man that I wanted to make fun of because I'm an ageist.
Right.
And in the process of doing so, he punched me in the jaw, knocked me out cold, and stole the money. Our account is like in a negative balance right now. And if I don't know what to do, because you do the editing, so I don't like to ask you for the money, but I'm a grad student. I have no way of securing these funds. I've been out there on the street. I've got close readings of Patricia Highsmith's The Talented Mr. Ripley. I've got close readings of The Beatles Get Back on my friend Matt Ellis's podcast.
Haven't listened yet, but it just came out today.
And our friends Better Red Than Dead with the Ripley podcast. I'm out there on the street. I'm I've been buying all these cell phones and then like downloading the podcast onto the phone so I can then sell them to people for profit. But no one wants to pay $700 for a locked phone with 2 podcast episodes on it. I'm really in the red here.
Well, Devin, I've got good news for you.
Really?
Because guess who's going to pay for that Buzzsprout monthly subscription?
Who?
It's the problematic character Annie.
I ain't this money for a divorce if ever I get a husband.
Annie, thank you so much. There's only one thing left to do. Devin, it's the end of 2021. How do you feel? Wait, shit, wrong key.
Oh, you guys.
Oh. Fuck.
Thanks for spending the year with your tall what I'm saying in front of you. Check the show notes for where to find the podcast. If you don't know by now.
Anyways, here we go. Should
all acquaintance be forgotten and never brought to mind? Should all acquaintance be forgotten and days long
sign?
What the fuck does Auld mean?
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.